Kerry McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to make yet another maiden speech today. And it's a privilege to follow my honourable friends on this side of the House, the Honourable Member for Newport East and the Honourable Member for North Ayrshire and Arran, and I want to congratulate them on their excellent speeches. I begin, as is customary, by paying tribute to Jean Causton, my predecessor. Jean Causton served the people of Bristol East for 13 years, and she was a dedicated and tireless constituency MP. As chair of the Joint Select Committee on Human Rights, she oversaw the implementation of the Government's Human Rights Act, one of the most important pieces of legislation it's passed. And as the first woman to chair the Parliamentary Labour Party, which I know she regarded as an immense honour, she handled relations between the government and the Labour backbenchers, not only with the discretion required of the role, but also with great integrity. My constituency, Bristol East, has a proud tradition of political activity. Ben Tillett, the Dockers leader and the co-founder of the National Transport Workers Federation, was born in Easton in my constituency. Ernest Bevin, the first General Secretary of the Transport and General Workers Union, started his political career there. And of course he went on to become a Foreign Secretary in a Labour government. And the constituency was previously represented by Tony Benn and by Sir Stafford Cripps, both towering figures within the Labour Party in their time. The two men had much in common. They both came from wealthy, privileged backgrounds. They were both sons of MPs, one the son of a Conservative MP who in later life had the good sense to cross over to the Labour Party, the other the son of a Liberal MP who showed equally good sense and did the same. And both men embarked on political journeys which at times put them severely at odds with the leadership of their parties. I cannot claim such a distinguished background, and who knows where my political journey in this House will lead me. But I do share at least two traits with these men. They were both vegetarians and they were both teetotal. Well, the Honourable Member for Antrim North will be happy with that. With one, at least, yeah. In fact, Winston Churchill said of Cripps in complete disgust that he has all of the virtues that I dislike and none of the vices I admire. My constituency office in Bristol East is above the St George Labour Club, a building which Cripps purchased for the local Labour Party on the strict condition that no alcohol was ever to be served there. I'm afraid I have to report that this legacy is now something that's more honoured in the breach than in the observance. And I would, I suspect, make myself very unpopular with my constituents if I was try to enforce his wishes now. Sir Stafford was, of course, Chancellor of the Exchequer from 1947 to 1950, and it is therefore fitting that I make this my first speech to the House in the Finance Bill debate. Cripps became Chancellor after Hugh Dalton was forced to resign, having been found leaking budget secrets to a journalist on his way to the House. I'm sure that no modern-day Chancellor would dream of doing such a thing. And Cripps was also said to have been responsible for Labour's dramatically reduced majority in the 1950 election. He insisted that the election be held in February because he thought it was morally wrong to hold an election just after a budget, in case he was accused of bribing the voters. Times have changed. Having mentioned Hugh Dalton, I do want to take this opportunity to pay tribute to his biographer, Professor Ben Pimlott, who until his sad and untimely death last year was my PhD supervisor. He was a kind and inspirational tutor, and although I suspect that now that I've been elected to this place, my thesis will go the way of other great unfinished masterpieces, I'm sure that many members of this House will continue to enjoy Ben's work of political biography for many years to come. I am, if not unique, certainly extremely unusual on this side of the House, in having spent much of my professional life working in the city, in the world of banking and financial markets. I worked there throughout most of the 1990s, at a time when the Tory party's economic credibility plummeted faster than the sterling exchange rate on Black Wednesday, and a period during which Labour began to nurture the reputation for sound stewardship of our economy, which it boasts to this day. The Chancellor's 9 budgets have been the bedrock, the foundations of all that we have achieved in government, and the benefits can be seen across my constituency, from the increased prosperity in the suburbs of Eastville, St George, Brislington and Stockwood, to the regeneration in the inner city wards of Easton and Lawrence Hill. And I want to pay tribute to the community activists, the voluntary sector workers and the public sector workers who have done so much in my constituency to help Labour deliver its programme of social justice and economic renewal. Unfortunately, time only allows me to cite one example. I was fortunate enough the other week to visit the new City Academy in my constituency. Set in the heart of the most deprived area of Bristol, what would have been dubbed a failing school has now been turned around because the head teacher, Ray Priest, had the vision and the dedication to lobby for City Academy status, even though it meant putting his own job on the line. The school was successful in its bid to become a specialist sports academy, and with the support of its sponsors, Bristol City Football Club, the University of the West of England and Bristol Chamber of Commerce, and in particular the support of its Chair of Governors, John Laycock, it has now become the biggest employer in my constituency, employing 600 people. It reflects the diversity of this part of Bristol, with more than 60% of the pupils coming from a visible ethnic minority community and 31 different languages being spoken there. Some of the pupils came here as asylum seekers, and in some cases their right to remain in this country still hangs in the balance. But I have no doubt that each child is capable of making a real contribution to this country if they're only given the opportunity and the life chances to do so. I was privileged to spend some time talking to a handful of sixth form students who are benefiting from the government's £30 a week education maintenance allowance. With continued government support, and with teachers who are dedicated to the task of lifting the aspirations and nurturing the ambitions of children from humble backgrounds, I'm sure that the Academy will go on to produce a generation of winners, both on the playing field and off. But it is important that school does not simply benefit those pupils who are lucky enough to be enrolled there. The investment, the capital investment, has brought to a deprived inner city area truly first-class sports facilities, a theatre, a professionally equipped kitchen for catering students, and computer suites, which would certainly be the envy of new members who have spent the past few weeks fighting over the one PC in our room up on the upper committee corridor. The school wants to open its doors to the community and indeed is obliged by its funding agreement to do so, and I will be speaking to ministers about what I can do to assist them in achieving this objective. I want to conclude, Mr Deputy Speaker, by saying that I am proud to become an MP at a time when issues of trade justice, debt cancellation and overseas aid have come to the political forefront as never before. The people of Bristol have shown overwhelming support for the Make Poverty History campaign, and on Saturday I will be joining them as they form a giant human white band around College Green in the city centre. And it is particularly poignant that the City of Bristol has taken this cause to its heart. Bristol's wealth was built upon the 18th century slave trade. More than 2,100 ships set sail from Bristol on slaving voyages, carrying some 500,000 Africans to slavery in the Americas. Bristol's wealth was built upon trade in Africans and in the slave-produced commodities such as sugar, chocolate, coffee, cotton and tobacco. And too few people questioned the moral legitimacy of the trade at the time. It was reported that when William Wilberforce's bill to abolish the slave trade was defeated in this House in 1791, the bells of St Mary Redcliffe Church in my constituency were rung amid general civic celebrations. But the city has now put its past behind it. Today, Bristol is home to many Africans and African Caribbeans, who, along with Asians and other ethnic minorities, play an important role in the civic and cultural life of the city. Bristol also has a growing reputation as a centre for environmentally and ethically sound trading, and in March this year, I'm proud to say, achieved Fair Trade City status. It would be fitting if we could celebrate the bicentenary of the abolition of the slave trade in 2007 by genuinely embracing the fair trade ethos, not just in Bristol and not just across Britain, but by using our presidencies of the G8 and the European Union to instil such values on an international scale. From the slave trade to fair trade, that would be a legacy we could truly be proud of. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.